Right, it's time now for Focus, and today we have a report on the tens of thousands of people evicted from Ivory Coast Natural Reserve of Mount Peko. Most of them farmers from Burkina Faso who took advantage of political turmoil to establish illegal cocoa plantations. Their eviction earlier this year was part of the government's efforts to save rapidly disappearing forests, but the authorities have been criticised for not ensuring nearby villages would have enough shelter and food for the evicted farmers. Caterina Vitozzi reports.
Making their way through a maze of forest, it's slow going for Commander Ouattara and his men. Mount Peko lies at the end of winding, blocked roads. It takes hours by foot to reach the remains of the first village.
So here's one of the abandoned houses. The grass has been growing. This here wasn't a small site, it was a big site, a village. One of the first established during the crisis. The majority of the people who wanted to become farmers in the forests of Mount Peko would pass by here. This is where most of the farming plots inside the national park would be negotiated, traded and allocated.
Attracted by the lush land, around 50,000 farmers left Burkina Faso to establish illegal plantations here in Mount Peko. Over the past 14 years, they've cleared the virgin forest and replaced it with cocoa.
See these rotten pods? That means it's been a long time since anybody came here and that these plantations are being abandoned.
More than 10,000 tons of cocoa beans grew here each year. It wasn't just farmers that made hundreds of thousands of euros from the cash crop. According to human rights organisations, local authorities too were complicit in the illegal trade. The government cleared Mount Peko in July, and the whole region is feeling the effects. Thousands of farmers evicted and now jobless.
From this point on, local residents aren't allowed to cross the river and to access their plantations. We've been told we can't go beyond this water anymore. Places where we used to live, where we were born. If you do go there, you'll get beaten up. If you have food, it'll be taken. If ever you have cocoa, it'll be seized.
The villages surrounding Mount Peko have been taking in the people evicted from the forest. In just a few months, the population has doubled. Homes are overflowing. At Amadou's house, 14 people live in one room.
That's my big brother, my father, and that's my wife. We're suffering here. We've got nothing to eat. Life is bad. We just sit here with no work to do. We've become like corpses. We're alive, but it's like we're dead.
Food shortages have become a major problem. Stocks are running low. There's not much in local shops.
When I lived on Mount Peko, I had a big shop, but when they came, they burnt everything. What I'm selling here is the little I could salvage.
Despite the ban, some are willing to take the chance of going back into the forest at night.
Honestly, we're risking our lives to find something to eat. I went once to find bananas, but it was really difficult. I went in at 4 a.m. and only came out at 3 a.m. the next night. I hid myself all day in the bushes before I could get out, because if they find you, it's really dangerous. They put you in prison.
Many of the evicted accuse security forces of being heavy-handed. This region was ravaged by violence during the Ivorian Civil War. There's now a concern about a resurgence of ethnic tensions.
Their arrival created a sort of pressure on local food supplies, pressure on the local housing and demography. We've even been alerted to cases of stolen crops in certain areas. But with the intervention of Ivorian authorities with whom we work hand in hand, these tensions have started to abate.
According to the United Nations, 24,000 people have been left in a vulnerable situation. No solutions yet been offered. Despite everything that's happened, the displaced of Mount Peko hope they may one day return to their cocoa fields and their livelihoods. Only a few have agreed to return to Burkina Faso, the country of their birth.